Here's what kind of problems he thought Reckful was good at solving and how he approached them. So, okay. Here's my understanding of the difference between, like, general AI and specialized AI. I might want to beat a video game that involves running and jumping. So, like, I might make a specialized AI that can only input 2 commands and then watches like a run and jump thing and then runs a neural network and repeats it, for 50,000 evolutions or 50 million times, whatever, until it figures out the optimal way to do it, right? It's like a specific AI. A general AI might just be something that can interact with the keyboard and see a monitor, and I would set that up to learn, right? The general AI is capable of doing a lot more. This isn't even like the best comparison, I think. Let me think of it. I'm sorry, it's early for me. I got to think of a different example. I guess, like, it seems like some people have, when you ask people questions about things, it feels like sometimes they have like 2 or 3 different patterns that they see if something fits, and then if it doesn't fit that, then they have no answer for it, and they can't really conceive of how to address that problem. But it seems like other people, very rarely, it seems like you can give them a question, and they're capable of taking the question, breaking it apart, and then trying out a whole bunch of different stuff to see how to answer that question. That seems to be an exceedingly rare skill I'm finding when it comes to dealing with people. And Reckful could definitely do the latter. It's very, very, very hard to find people that can do that. So, like, we can use the incest example because it's a really good one. It's a really good to illustrate how people approach, like, moral problems, right? So, like, if I ask somebody, well, do you think incest is right or wrong, right? The visceral reaction you generally get is, oh, it's wrong. And usually that's an okay starting point for anybody. For some people, they literally can't walk past that. It's like, well, it's wrong. I mean, it's gross. It's wrong, of course. I mean, like, it's wrong. Like, because in their head, they've got, like, a code for, like, this X act is wrong. It just is. That's it. They have, like, that kind of, like, pattern is saved in their head. And they don't really know how to break that apart. They can't really abstract any greater rule from that. They don't really know why that exists. That's just, like, a rule they have. Somebody else might be like, okay, well, I mean, it's wrong. You're like, well, why? It's like, well, I don't know. And then they might appeal to some deeper value system. And it's like, well, how do I figure out what's right or wrong? Okay, well, I know some things are right and some things are wrong for these reasons. Well, let's go back and let's see if we can apply this to this particular moral question. It's like, okay, well, hold on. It seems like it's actually failing or meeting some of the bars for, like, what I would consider right or wrong. And then they can have that conversation. I think for Reckful, I think you could ask Reckful any question, and it always felt like he was appealing to, like, deeper internal patterns to figure out, like, what the answer was. Which is interesting. I like that. Yeah. I'd recommend Tea Time with Byron. Yeah, I don't remember
because
what
I'm putting
we talked
100%.
about there. But yeah.
Do you think that way of approaching things is teachable?
I'd like to think so. I'm not really sure though. I don't know. Destiny example. I literally just gave an example. What do you mean? Wow. Goodbye, Mom's Little Mistake. One thing that I notice more and more too that I get really disappointed with, I'm starting to notice this a lot, and now that I pay attention to it, it really bothers me. Sometimes it feels like when I'm listening to conversations, they actually sound a lot more like robots than I initially thought. So, like, there's, like, 2 ways to have conversations. I used to give this as, like, a flirting tip, but now I wonder if it's actually, like, it's, like, a general life thing that a lot of people don't do. A good conversation would be, like, person A says 1, and then you have, like, a response to 1. And then they might have, like, a response to that, and then you might have a response to that. They might have a response. And then eventually, like, after doing this for a while, then you move on to, like, subject 2. But, like, somebody says something, you understand what they say, and then you try to engage with it, and then you have a back and forth conversation on it. Like, that seems to be like a cool thing. And I notice that it's really hard for a lot of people to do that. Instead, when I pay attention to more, I start to know that conversations actually sound like this. I've got 5 things that I want to say. I say one, the other person hears it, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. And then they say their one, and then you hear it's like, okay, cool, but now I'm going to say 2, and the other person's like, okay, yeah, sure. And they're like, yeah, okay, and then 2, and then the other person's like, okay, yeah. And then 3, and then it's like, it's actually like this. And when you actually start to listen to the conversation, you find out that like you guys like aren't actually responding to anything you're saying. No, you guys aren't having a conversation. Like, you're already thinking of the next thing that you want to say before you've even heard this person's response to you. And it's really clear because like the next thing that you say has very little engagement with the prior thing that the other person said. It's like you're not even really having a conversation. Like, you sound like Oblivion dialogue, except not even, because even in Oblivion, like the writers would probably write them responding to each other. Is it still wrong between consenting adults? What are you talking about? This is nothing to do with consenting adults or anything. I'm just saying that I've noticed this pattern of people talking at each other and then just trying to like run through their talking points without actually hearing and responding to what the other person is saying. Editor should have gotten a contract. It sounds like you should have gotten something in writing. It sounds like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's an interesting take there, my fellow communists.